Hello, welcome to English with Sikshya. Have you been searching for a method for stepping up your English? Today we are going to practice English with a new short story. Let's improve your English listening and reading skills. You can also practice speaking along, reading the text. If you need extra time, pause the video and speak along, or adjust the speed to a slower level. Let's get started. If you haven't watched the first part of the story, you can also find the link in the description box below. Continuing the story, How I Met Your Mother, Part 2. The campfire crackled softly as the night grew darker. Eric and Jenny sat close to their father, waiting for him to continue the story. They were excited to hear more about how their parents had stayed in love all these years. Their father smiled at them, then poked the fire again with his stick. After a moment of silence, he began the next part of the story. So, their father said, as time went on, your mother and I finished school and started working. We were still together and we were very happy. We knew that we wanted to spend our lives together. One day I asked her to marry me. I was nervous, just like the first time I told her that I liked her. But I knew in my heart that she was the one for me. How did you ask her? Eric asked. Their father chuckled. I took her to the park where we first met, he said. We walked around just like we used to when we were younger. Then we sat on the same bench where I saw her for the first time. I looked at her and told her how much she meant to me. Then I asked her to marry me. She was surprised, but she smiled and said yes. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. Jenny sighed happily. That's so sweet, she said. Their father nodded. It was, he said. We got married not long after that. Our wedding was small, but it was perfect. We were surrounded by our family and friends, and we were so happy to start our new life together. He paused for a moment, remembering that special day. After we got married, we moved into our first home. It was a small house, but it was ours. We worked hard to make it a home, and we filled it with love and laughter. We built our life together, step by step. And then, one day, something even more wonderful happened. Eric and Jenny leaned in closer, waiting for the next part of the story. You were born, Eric, their father said with a smile. When we first held you in our arms, we knew that our lives had changed forever. You brought so much joy into our home. And then a few years later, Jenny, you were born. Our family was complete. We were so happy to have both of you in our lives. Eric and Jenny smiled, feeling warm and loved as they listened to their father's words. The years went by, their father continued, and we grew as a family. We shared so many good times together, like this camping trip. We had our challenges too, but we always faced them together. Your mother and I loved each other more and more as the years passed. We knew that no matter what, we would always be there for each other and for you. Eric and Jenny looked at their father with admiration. They could see how much their parents loved each other and how strong their family bond was. So, their father said, that's the story of how I met your mother. It started with a simple hello at the park, and it grew into a love that has lasted all these years. We've been through a lot together, but our love has never faded. it has only gone stronger. Just as their father finished his story, they heard a noise behind them. They turned around and saw their mother walking towards them with a big smile on her face. She was carrying a tray with dinner on it, sandwiches, fruits, and drinks. "Dinner is ready," she said cheerfully, setting the tray down on the picnic table nearby. "What are you all talking about?" Eric and Jenny looked at each other, then at their father. He smiled at them and winked. "Oh, nothing much," he said casually, "just telling a little story." Their mother raised an eyebrow and laughed. "Well, I hope it was a good one." Eric and Jenny giggled, knowing that their father had just shared something very special with them. Their mother had no idea that they had been talking about her the whole time. As they sat down to eat their dinner together, Eric and Jenny looked at their parents with new eyes. They saw the love between them, the years of care and support, and they felt grateful to be a part of such a strong and loving family. The fire crackled softly, the stars twinkled above, and the family enjoyed their meal together, wrapped in the warmth of the campfire and the love that surrounded them. Eric and Jenny glanced at each other, then at their parents. They felt a deep sense of happiness, knowing the beautiful story of how their parents had met and fallen in love. As they ate, their mother noticed the looks on their faces. She smiled and asked, "Why do you two look so happy? Did your dad tell you something funny?" Jenny giggled and said, "Not funny, Mom, just really nice. Dad told us how you two met when you were teenagers." Their mother raised her eyebrows in surprise. "Oh, he did he?" she said with a laugh. She looked at her husband with a playful smile. "You told him our story?" Their father nodded, smiling warmly. "Yes, I did," he said. "They wanted to know how I met you, so I shared our story. I told them about how we met at the park, how we became friends, and how we fell in love." Their mother's face softened as she listened to him. She reached over and gently touched his hand. "Those were special days," she said softly. "It feels like a long time ago, but also like it was just yesterday." Eric and Jenny watched as their parents exchanged a loving glance. They could see that the love between them was still as strong as ever. Even after all these years, it was a love that had grown and deepened with time, just as their father had said. After dinner, the family sat together by the fire, enjoying the peaceful night. The stars continued to shine brightly above them, and the gentle sound of the fire filled the air. Eric and Jenny leaned against their parents, feeling safe and happy. "Mom," Eric said quietly, "we're glad you and Dad met. We are glad you're our parents." Jenny nodded in agreement. "Yes, we love you both so much." Their mother smiled and wrapped her arms around them. "We love you too," she said softly. "You and Eric are the best things that ever happened to us." Their father nodded, adding, "Our family is the most important thing in the world to us. We're so lucky to have each other." As the fire began to die down, the family sat quietly together, enjoying the simple joy of being close. The story their father had shared that night was more than just a tale of how he met their mother. It was a reminder of the strong love that held their family together. The night grew quieter, and soon it was time to go to bed. Eric and Jenny said goodnight to their parents and climbed into their sleeping bags inside the tent. As they drifted off to sleep, they thought about the story they had just heard, the love their parents shared, and how lucky they were to be a part of such a wonderful family. Their parents stayed by the fire for a little longer, talking softly and holding hands. They both knew that their love had brought them to this moment, sitting together under the stars, with their children sleeping peacefully nearby. Life had its ups and downs, but through it all, they had each other, and that was all they ever needed. As the last of the fire's warmth faded into the cool night air, the couple finally stood up and went into the tent to join their children. They lay down beside them, feeling a deep sense of contentment. And in the stillness of the night, with the stars shining overhead and their children sleeping soundly, they both knew that their love story would continue for many years to come.